Hey guys, good morning. Happy Saturday. This is not going to be advice for the daytime slate, but I was just kind of reviewing my lineups from yesterday and some of the nighttime stuff, and just wanted to give you guys some stuff to think about, especially if you're newer to MLB DFS. If you're an old, wily, seasoned veteran, this is probably stuff that you've been using and you've conquered and you understand pretty well. But for those newer to DFS, if you can really get the value of going contrarian sometimes, I think there's a couple of really good glaring examples yesterday. Obviously, let's just work backwards and start at the night slate, with Francisco Liriano being anywhere from what I've seen from 70 to 97% owned in double ups and cash games, depending on what you look at it. Really think about the power of going with someone or going to get someone. Now, in cash games, you usually think about being safe. Liriano still had the highest ceiling on the board last night. He was still probably your safest bet. It's just some days pitchers just don't have it. And I watched that first inning, and it was ugly. He couldn't find the release point, and he couldn't get to the zone to save his life. So in cash games, a lot of times it'll still make sense to go with the right pick. But when you pick against them and it works out, I want to think about how much power that gives you within a tournament strategy, for example. So a tournament that I played in, he was about 46% owned, which means that now 46% of the field is now, or basically half the field is gone, just gone, and you're only competing against the other half, which already skyrockets you damn near into the money if you can just, do decent within your lineup. So really, really think about the power of going contrarian in a situation like that. And how sometimes baseball has more reward to go to contrarian than some of the other sports do, in my opinion. It's sometimes hard to know early on who's going to be highly owned, but I think we all knew that Liriano would be really, really highly owned yesterday. So more than anything, I just want people to kind of put that in their minds and kind of rattle that around for a little bit. One of the guys that's one of the admins in my Facebook groups who sticks mainly to GPP, and I was talking to him via Facebook yesterday, and he was just fading Liriano all the way through and through. So judging by his offensive picks on the day as well, the stack Texas and things like that, things went really, really well for him. But I, on the other hand, didn't have the stones. I ran Liriano through and through. Still won cash lineups because everybody else bought him, but huge power there by going the opposite direction. The other example is what I did do during the daytime slate. You had to decide kind of between like an all-out Dodgers versus Rocky stack and versus going with Scherzer. So I ultimately went Scherzer and played small pieces from the Dodgers game. I had some Puig who just missed another home run by a few feet, but outside of that, that game was quiet. I thought it might be quiet because it was a brand new lefty, talented lefty going against LA, and LA is not nearly as good against left-handed pitching, and I thought it was possible, but the Rockies might get shut down by Ryo just a little bit, and because the Rockies hadn't been great. So ultimately, I settled on San Diego, which, as bad as their offense is kind of my lucky stack, but just by stacking the front portion of San Diego, not Margot, they didn't come out with their lineup till later, and I didn't feel like redoing them. That's my fault. But the Jankowski, Solarte, Schimpf, and Will Myers, I kind of ran that stack through and through, and with them all coming up with double digits or close to it, most of my lineups were finishing in the top, couple percentage points and things like that by going a different route. Now, I don't normally advise against not at least really looking closely at Coors, but there's so much power in going the opposite direction, especially in baseball, because it's one thing in like basketball when you go opposite. If everybody's going Westbrook and you go Harden, and Harden goes for 80 and Westbrook goes for 68, it's 12 points. It's easily doable in one pick to overcome that. When you pick Liriano and he goes minus 11.5, and then you pick Mike Leake instead, who goes for 20, shit, that's a 30-point discrepancy. So if you're new to MLB DFS, just some stuff to ponder over and think of when you're setting GPP lineups specifically. Sundays and Mondays are days I really love to go contrarian and play GPP because there's often funkier results on Sundays and Mondays. Just chalk it up to people going out at night. I don't know why it is. Maybe it's the day games after night games or whatever it might be. Good Lord, I don't know. But Sundays and Mondays seem to have odd results. So play around, even just do it in the quarter arcade for a little bit. The idea of not going with the chalkier plays and the power that it can give you when things work out your direction. So just some stuff to think about this morning. I got to go fix some stuff around my house, which I'm not good at. So this is one of those points where you feel like a little bit less of a man for part of the morning. So time to go get out the tools and pretend I know what I'm doing. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I'll be out with info tomorrow.